I think what we need to just do is keep with the standardization, keep with, taking this wonderful sport we have and all the great tournaments and trying to get standardization.
Hey guys, Johnny Disc Golf here at the 2019 MVP Open, and I am joined with 5-time world champion and MVP's own Miss Elaine King. How are you, Elaine?
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you on the show. I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for a while, and we're finally getting it done. You're on Team MVP. This is the MVP Open. What's it been like being like part of that family that's putting on the event?
It's been wonderful. The guys at MVP are so supportive of all the team members. And you know what I especially like about Team MVP is it started with amateur players and MVP marketing to the amateur crowd, and then gradually expanding to the point where they felt like they could expand to the pro players. And so I really love the grassroots feel of that company.
That's a great point, and I've felt that for myself. Like over in San Francisco, we've had a few of the amateur players, and then they've been starting to level up, and a few local pros, Sias, Jeff Faze, those kind of guys. For you yourself, you were with Disccraft for a long time, and very successful, But over the last few years, you've transitioned to MVP. I guess what was the catalyst for that change, and how's it been going for you, on the course?
Well, it's interesting. I did write a little piece when I left Disccraft, and basically what it said is, I didn't feel that Disccraft was recognizing the value that I brought the brand. And, Val Jenkins had the same comment about Innova, and then she went to Disccraft.
Exactly, yeah.
And it was kind of ironic that Disccraft didn't see the parallel between my status in the Disccraft team versus Val at Team Innova. Mm-hmm. So I realized then it was time to make a change. Sure. And so I took my time about it. I didn't just jump out and get a new sponsor. I thought about what I wanted to do. I picked up a lot of discs and threw them. And then I posted on Facebook about which discs I liked and how they were going. And one of the discs was the Wave. And I really was liking throwing the Wave. And so then Steve contacted me and said, well, let's have a conversation. And so we had a conversation. He sent me a few discs. I threw them. We had another conversation, and we did an iteration a few times until it really felt like there was a really good fit.
Sure. And you feel like on the course, I mean, you've been performing, I'm arguably better than ever ratings-wise. How do you feel like the new discs are treating you, on the course?
I am throwing farther. There's no doubt. Like everyone says, I'm throwing a bit farther, and that's the way the discs are designed. They've got the outer rim is a heavier plastic than the inner flight plate. Sure. And so when you get spin on it, there's the gyroscopic motion, the precession, which keeps the disc spinning longer. And so when it's spinning, it's up in the air longer. Yeah. And so that's worked out well for me.
It's honestly, it's really cool hearing you say this, because I know outside of disc golf, you've had a pretty significant role. Like, what have you been doing outside of disc golf?
Well, I'm a PhD chemist, and so I've been working for pharmaceutical companies for most of my career, and working for a big pharma company, and now I'm a consultant. So I've just got a little bit more time now. I've purposely decided I wanted to work a little bit less than full-time, and that allows me to spend a little bit more time disc golfing.
Sure, yeah, and I've been noticing, I've been seeing you more and more. I've been out, I guess, for the past 3 years for mostly full-time, and really over the last 18 months, I feel like you've been really present at a lot of these big events. How's that been for you? Like, was that a priority going in?
It's something I wanted to do more. I wanted to attend more national tours, more disc golf pro tours, and understand the touring life better. Yep. I'm also putting a lot of time in on the PDGA board and some of the committees.
Thank you.
And so, I'm trying to divide my life. So, yeah, I'm still working in the pharma industry, and I'm doing consulting, which I love, but I've also opened up my schedule so that I could spend more time with disc golf, both playing and contributing to the organization.
Yeah, what's that been like? Because I know that this is, you just got voted in as to be a part of the board of directors, excuse me. Have you seen any, like, I know that the new team has not come in, correct? It's still the old regime, and so when is that going to take into effect?
I think today being September 1st.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Good
the
day to have this
changeover of
conversation
the
then.
board. Yeah.
So what does that look like for you, Elaine King? Like, how does that affect your life? Do you attend meetings in Georgia, or how does that actually work for you?
So the board meets monthly via teleconference, and we also meet twice a year in person. And so earlier this year it was in Santa Cruz, and in October it's going to be in Augusta after the Hall of Fame Classic. And so we do quite a bit of work in between those meetings. We've got active correspondence on emails. We take votes via poll.
Okay.
And, pretty much every day I'm reading something or thinking about it for the board.
Is that at this point in your career, which one are you, I guess, not more focused on, but which one do you value more? The way you can contribute from the board, or what you can contribute on the course?
Oh, don't make me choose. I guess playing on the course, that's for my own, I guess, satisfaction, my own validation, and to push myself and see if I can still compete with the touring pros. And of course, there's more and more women now who are on tour. And let me tell you, they all throw farther than me, all of them.
Well, hey, you're in the mix every single time, so don't cut yourself short.
But my accuracy is what helps me. So if I can just keep being accurate, I can keep up. And, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely, if you just hang out with people who are your age, you start to feel older. If you hang out with people who are younger, I totally think I'm 25.
I love it.
Totally do. And I get surprised when I'm not.
Well, let me ask you, if you're new to the board this year, is there anything that you are...
No, I've been on the board. I was appointed to the board to fill in a vacant slot. So I've been serving on the board for a year already.
I am so sorry. That's disrespectful on my part. But what are the things that, what is something you would like to bring to the table? Like any change that you could affect at all? Is there anything?
Well, I think what we need to just do is keep with the standardization, keep with taking this wonderful sport we have and all the great tournaments and trying to get standardization.
Yeah.
And that happens by giving the tournament directors the tools they need so it's easier for them to run a really great event. Yeah. And there's a lot of materials available on the PDGA site right now. I know that the staff is working on making some videos just so it's a little bit easier for tournament directors to digest. Tools and templates. I think there's more that we could do when we set up the Pro Tour at the beginning of the year to get more information available sooner to the players. Yeah. And, it's an evolution. It's all coming, and every year it gets better and better and better. We've got people like Steve Dodge who have pushed the envelope with making this a spectator sport, and now he's handed it over to the new management, and we've got Jeff Spring who's going to be managing the tour. And so, it's folks like that who have got a vision and, very importantly, are trying to make it financially viable, because it's only when it's financially viable that we're going to see the sustainability.
Sure. You mentioned Steve Dodge handing it over to Jeff Spring. I think that's going to be one of the biggest storylines, maybe outside of the winners here at MVP. Where do you see the Pro Tour going in 2020, 2021, and beyond?
I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. One thing I will mention is teeing surfaces. I think that's the next big thing that the Technical Standards Committee is going to need to look at. There's a variety of teeing surfaces, and it's something, I guess, having played from the very beginning, I've teed on gravel, I've teed on grass, I've teed from puddles, but that's not where the sport is now, and we need to recognize that we need standardized teeing surfaces, just the way we have standardized targets.
I'll tell you right now, the first person leading that charge has got to be James Conrad. He struggles more than anyone with the short tees or little slippery tees. I love that is going to be an emphasis going forward.
But I think as well, the players have a responsibility to look at their footwear, and not every type of footwear is going to be suitable. So, I always pick footwear with a soft rubber sole, and I'm not sure that people always think with their footwear about what's the best footwear that will be compatible with as many teeing surfaces as possible.
No, that makes sense. I think that there's just an instant an instant reaction to complain about the surface instead of maybe think about how they could address what they're doing to fit each surface.
And also, you know what? Stand and deliver is always an option. People don't like it.
Exactly.
But, occasionally things happen out on the course. I mean, if it's not the tee and you're in the fairway, players will stand and deliver. Sometimes tees, from no fault of anyone's, just that happens in tumultuous rain, and that may be the best idea.
Well, I'm even thinking Worlds, Northwoods had one of those tee pads that just because where it was located, it was in the shade, it was damp, it could never get like dry and sticky really. It was just slippery. What do you think? Is it turf tee pads? What is that? If you could make a projection.
I project that there will be several types of surfaces that will be approved. Clearly, brushed concrete is going to be one of them. Some kind of artificial turf could be another. Some type of rubber mat is going to be another. And we'll have technical specifications that will address the characteristics of that tee pad so that it's got the firmness that players need. It's not grabbing their shoes, which will give knee injuries. So it's got to be that fine line.
Yeah. Have you thought about size specs? Like it needs to be a certain size, whether it's deep or wide, or.
Yeah, I think size specs will definitely be part of what would be a standardized teeing surface in the future.
That's great. I love to hear it. Let's talk about the state of disc golf. We just watched Paige Pierce 2 weeks ago now take down her 5th world title, joining you and Juliana Korver in that 5-timers club. I saw Juliana Korver at the course, ready and waiting there. I believe you were competing. That's probably why you weren't waiting there.
No, I did not play the Pro Worlds this year. Unfortunately, this is a conflict. My job just had too many demands, and I was starting to get actually fairly anxious about trying to do everything. And, that is one lesson in life. You can't do everything.
Absolutely.
So I realized a few weeks ago that I couldn't do that. So I withdrew from the Worlds. I would have loved to have been there to give Paige a big hug. I totally foresaw this day coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is it like to, do you and Juliana have any sort of special bond, like as the leaders in the world titles? And if so, like, is Paige like part of that club now, or?
I think all women disc golfers have a bond. There just aren't that many of us. So I don't think you have to have won titles. I think, women who are in disc golf feel a real kinship to each other. But it's certainly been wonderful watching, Paige win all her titles, and she's going to win more. She's going to surpass me. I know it. And that's great.
Yeah, so you're looking forward to that day? You're not like, I got to take another couple more?
I'm not looking forward to it, but it's going to come. I grudgingly accept. Yes, okay. Paige is going to surpass all my accomplishments, but that's wonderful.
No, and that's the natural, healthy. Exactly. That's kind of the natural order of things. We have people who lay the groundwork, and then it's just all about improving and improving. Out at MVP Open, out at Maple Hill, this course is long and it's technical. And like you said, you don't throw quite as far as a lot of these other FPO players. Do you feel like, because you had a solid finish out here, right? You had one not so awesome round, but you played great. How do you feel like your game is like right now, especially like relative to these long throwers, Paige, Kat, all these ladies out there?
Well, I'm at a disadvantage on certain types of courses. So if you get just a long bombing course without too many obstacles in the way, I'm just not going to score as well, and that's fine. I've accepted that. But if you give me a course with some out of bounds, with some tight lines, I should be able to keep up. And what I have to do is play my game and not anyone else's game. And also not get frustrated on those holes and I must admit, last round I was playing with 3 awesome women and they were getting birdies on holes that I couldn't quite reach, and it was frustrating, but that wasn't my problem on round 2. Round 2 was I didn't manage the wind well, and that's
we can live with that.
That's something I'm still dealing with.
Yeah.
The one thing from having changed my bag to MVP is I'm still not 100% comfortable in the wind. Okay. And I don't play in windy conditions very often, and that's why. Sure. So it'll come.
Okay. Well, hey, what's next for Elaine King? We chatted a little bit about kind of what you're doing next, but lay out, like, the season's almost over. What are we looking at for that rest of the season schedule?
Okay, well, I'm here next week for the Tim Selinsky Masters. I'm going to hit up the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championship in Virginia.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to play Masters. There's a 25 in the FP40 division.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
it's a big division.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely be hitting the Hall of Fame Classic, yes. And that's just before the board meeting. And then there's a few other tournaments that I'm signed up through the end of the year because I'm living in North Carolina and the season never ends.
Oh, gosh, I can't imagine. That's like the hotbed of all hotbeds. Well, let me ask you this. One thing before I get you out of here. Is there any ladies that you've noticed in the FPO division when you've been playing that maybe is like a good candidate for a breakout player? Somebody that maybe hasn't been on the lead card coverage, but is really like coming into her own and we might see going forward or maybe next year?
I was very impressed with Missy Gannon.
World putting champion.
Yeah, and she throws so far, and she's got really nice form. She's got the backhand, she's got the sidearm, so I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Missy on the lead card in the near future.
I'm not going to complain one bit. She's a gem, and I love she's great.
Yeah.
Elaine, I want to give you a chance to say anything that you would like to any of the fans, the friends, anybody pulling out there, anybody that voted for Elaine King for board of directors.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm really overwhelmed, actually, at the support I got for the PDGA election, so thank you. And, I'm going to do the best of my ability to represent all golfers and do the groundwork in the sport that will make disc golf more accessible to more people, a more pleasurable experience for those who play, as well as having some top-tier events that you can watch at home. And the other thing I'd like to say is, keep yourself in shape, keep yourself limber, and you can keep playing the sport for a long time. But, you got to work at it. So I work at trying to keep fit. I work at strength training. I work at flexibility. And so far, so good.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Elaine. Seriously, I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure getting to see you. Guys, that is all I have for this interview. If you'd like coverage of all things disc golf, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out that interview. If you'd like to support me, check out patreon.com/JohnnyDiscGolf. And if you'd like to follow along, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for updates on all your favorite players all season long.